Breaking news, and I do just want to let our viewers know now the Dow is down 585 points. The actual low of the session at this point for the Dow, a loss of 667 points. We are seeing Treasury yields that are dropping, flight to safety, gold above $1,900 a troy ounce, another flight to safety because of what's on your screen. What we see is the Russian attack appears to be coming in the next few days, according to Western leaders. But if you talk to anybody else, especially Ukraine, it's already started in cyberspace. Yesterday, the Ukrainian government reported the largest cyber attack in the nation's history. Both Ukraine's defense ministry, army, and the country's two largest banks were breached. While it's not yet confirmed that Russia was behind the attack, Ukraine says the adversary is most likely the one who is behind it. Russia and Belarus responsible for a separate cyber attack that hit Ukraine's government websites last month. Let's bring in top cybersecurity expert and CrowdStrike CEO George Kurtz. George, give me your sense of what is really happening here. And I mean, to me, it seems obvious that it's the Russians because it's a pile-on at the moment. We know that they might be trying this false flag operation where skirmishes start at the borders that appear to be from other groups or countries, not Russia, so that kind of forces Ukraine to swipe and take a shot at them, and then suddenly all bets are off and you've got a war. Not to mention, they're trying to pile on with the cybersecurity attacks.
Absolutely. When you look at where we are today in 2022, cyber is a critical element of any warfare fighting capabilities. We think about air, land, sea. Cyber is just as important, and why it's important is because of the damage that you can actually do. You think about taking out the power grids, critical infrastructure, gas line, pipelines. I mean, the list goes on, and Russia has certainly a history of taking out things like the electrical grid in 2015. Not only are you talking about taking out critical infrastructure, but there's a big psychological operations element to this, scaring the citizens of the Ukraine, creating turmoil within the country, potentially false flags. So big element, and obviously I think everyone is waiting to see how this unfolds.
George, security experts in the United States are warning companies, everyone, not just publicly traded, but the smaller companies here in the U.S., saying that we could see a spillover effect when it comes to all kinds of hacks. What are you seeing? You've been monitoring a lot of this activity. Specifically, are we starting to see these bad actors knocking on, the cyber doors of U.S. companies, and what should they be doing?
Well, whether the Ukraine conflict is in play or not, we're always seeing nation-state adversaries knocking on the doors of all companies, and that's just the reality of where we are. Cyber is a critical element to any corporation, and making sure they're protected is absolutely critical. One of the top one or two risks to any boards at the company level. So when you look at just the current situation, I've taken more phone calls from CEOs from some of the largest Fortune 500 companies asking about this Ukraine situation. They have operations in Ukraine, or they have suppliers in the Ukraine, which they're very worried about. In 2017, NotPetya was an unintended consequence where Russia infiltrated and knocked out some companies in Ukraine, and that spread unintentionally to companies in the U.S. It was a big outage for many companies.
Very hard to ring fence any operation, isn't that correct? When it comes to a company with any kind of servers in the cloud, when you talk about exactly how these companies who are trying to grow should be moving forward, it's important, isn't it, to have some servers on site that they can then perhaps shut off the cloud servers if there's any kind of breach, correct?
Well, there's different models, hybrid, cloud only, on-premise. I think what's important is to make sure that those systems are protected the right way, whether it's their endpoint servers or cloud workloads. They need to have protection, visibility on those endpoints and workloads so that when these attacks happen, you can not only prevent them, but you can identify that this attack is happening and prevent any sort of collateral damage or what we call lateral movement by the adversary. And that's obviously a big part of what CrowdStrike is focused on.
George, do these Russian bad actors have a fingerprint signature that you can spot pretty quickly? And if so, what does it look like?
Well, at CrowdStrike, we track over 170 different adversary groups. We have a very robust intelligence team, and given the telemetry of what we see these attacks across 176 countries where we have our agents or our software looking at these attacks, there certainly are telltale signs from each government, whether it's Russia, whether it's North Korea, whether it's Iran, whether it's China. We call them the Big Four. And it's what we call tradecraft. And if you think about, I always make the joke, programmers are lazy. They write the program once so they don't have to keep writing it. It's the same way in the cyber world. And that is, it's so expensive to create these toolkits that are used in these pieces of malware, which are very complicated. They can't just use them one time. So they want to tweak them and reuse them, and it leaves behind fingerprints that companies like CrowdStrike can actually identify.
George, it's great to have you. George Kurtz.